giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Good morning. Good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live. We are streaming live on YouTube. And of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! Or should I say, today, I wanted to focus on some X factors. Two in particular, nothing crazy, that I think could or will, depending how they use them, provide some explosiveness, more explosiveness to this offense. I almost leaned into 3, but I said, nah, that's a bit of a cheat code. As you see on the thumbnail, I got our guy Dez Bryant throwing up the X. I'm going to tell you the difference, though. I'm going to tell you the difference. But before I get into that, man, good morning, Bomb Squad. How we doing?
Bomb Squad!
How are we on this 4th of July Eve? Fitting that today I'm talking about some explosiveness because, 4th of July with fireworks. We'll be doing our own thing out front tomorrow. And usually this whole block does it. At least last year they did. So we'll be doing our thing too. So I'm gonna talk about some firecrackers of our own on this offense, and I limited it to 2 because I wanted to leave it open to your interpretation of some other guys. So I didn't want to list the whole entire offense. So I got 2 guys. I'll get your feedback. I want to hear about who you believe also could be potential X factors. Mostly we're talking skill players. I know offensive line is important. Now, again, you see the Dez Bryant, right? And during Dez's era, he was, quote unquote, the ultimate X factor. But I always felt like a little bit of a cheat, a little bit of a cheat. Because Dez, the Webster definition of X factor, and let me read this for you, is a circumstance, quality, or person that has a strong but unpredictable influence. See, I always thought X factor was someone you really weren't expecting. We always knew Dez Bryant was going to be that dude week in, week out, year in, year out. But it was cool throwing up the X. I threw up the X all the damn time. He was my favorite player when he was playing in the league. But for this exercise, we're going to focus on some, I don't want to say unsuspecting, but per the definition, unpredictable influence. That fair? Everybody following me? Is that fair? So today I decided, and I just happened to look over and saw JVB boy said Donovan Wilson. Today I wanted to focus on offense. Maybe I'll run this thing back defensively at some point during this dead period, but I wanted to focus on offense. And honestly, if we want defense, I don't know, Donald, I expect Donald, but that's totally different discussion. Right, the guru. He says besides Lamb, he sees only 2 other guys. So, well, explosive, sure. I use the term explosive for a reason, because one of the guys we're going to talk about is that the other guy is not quite explosive. He can have some of that to him, more of a slasher. And let's just get right into it. That guy I'm talking about is Rico Dowdle. Number 1, Cowboys Nation, as we get this thing rolling. Rico Dowdle is, without a doubt, an X factor. Now you may say, well, Scott, I thought this room you're not really a big fan of just quite yet. That's true. And in all honesty, hence why he is an X factor, because I don't think they're going to add more to it. I'm at the point now where I've come to grips with the Cowboys are going to roll with this unit at training camp. And unless a flurry of injuries happen like the Baltimore Ravens a few years ago, that's the unit they'll pick from going into the season. And Rico Dowdle is going to be a guy, even though he came back on a 1-year deal, essentially vet minimum, so he technically could get cut, but I don't think that's happening at all, given what's in that room. So Rico Dowdle is a major X factor. He finally got his shot last year with the departure of Zeke to tandem with Pollard. Here's a problem, though. We've mentioned this before. That barely happened. Only 6 times did he play double-digit snaps. Not carries, not touch. Snaps, ladies and gentlemen. And only twice did he average more than 4 yards per carry in those games against Washington and the New York Giants. The other games were either blowouts one way or the other. And it got frustrating for me. I'm not sure if it got frustrating for you guys, but it got frustrating for me. And not because, listen, I think, Rico is an all-pro player. No, it got frustrating because we needed a complementary to Tony Pollard. It got frustrating for me in the same sense as it did years ago when they weren't giving TP the ball. Nobody's asking, or at least I wasn't, for him to get 20, 25 touches. I'm just asking to help out 21 at the time. And I'm just asking to help out 20 last year. So I started wondering, is this because of that bottom factor there? The injury history of Rico Dowdle. It's nasty. It's a long list. And last year, it kind of continued to go, right? He was hindered with the hip and ankle situation. Remember, this is the same hip, by the way, that he missed an entire 2021 season with. And then the ankle, we saw him miss a game, I think, towards the end of the year. And he was in and out of practice, or mostly out of practice. And I kept thinking, I wish I could ask this question. Hey, are you guys not using Rico because you just don't trust him to stay healthy? No one ever asked that question. They brought it up after he had a good game, and coach was like, yeah, man, we got to start getting Rico the ball more, and you didn't. What happened, coach? So if you're going to limit him throughout the season, all right, boom, bet. We here in the postseason, right? All bets are off. Last game of the year, last game of the year, Brett can't hold anything back. Rico Dowdle got 2 carries. If you go look at his injury history dating all the way back to college, it is extensive and it is concerning. Sports hernia surgery his freshman year. Broken leg his sophomore year. Ankle injury that limited him his junior year. Right knee injury senior year. Gets to the league, 2 hip injuries and an ankle. It's a long list. And, as tough as Rico Dowdle is good of skills that he has, because he has some skills. I do think you have to take his injuries into consideration. I do think you have to look at who he is, where he fits on your team, and say, you know what, maybe the best thing for Rico is to be, at least for me, I'm gonna say for me, is to be a part of a stable and not obviously a lead and not a major 2, meaning, he's getting 12 to 15 touches a game, which at this point, that's a lead, honestly, in today's game. But on the field, man, I had brought it up in the offseason, and look, man, I'm not saying he is barbarian. We talked about this before, but doesn't he feel like he runs in that sense? He's a hard, tough runner. And Zeke was asked about that when he returned. He said, I love the way Rico runs. And that also takes into the account that, hey, that's going to lead to some injuries, the way he plays. And you need that. I think he can be a tone setter in that sense. He is, in a way, he's a slasher spark plug as opposed to more of I run a 4-2, 4-3 explosive player. But one of his more underrated parts of his game to me is his ability to catch out the backfield. Not a receiver running crazy routes, but swing passes, screens. He handles those things really well. He was 7th in the NFL in yards per reception from running backs, but he only had 21 receptions. 7th in the NFL in yards per reception. Well, what's my man's name? John Parks. The analytics. Right? Coach McCarthy's in the barn. He's chilling. He's looking at PFFs and all the analytics. And at some point, you had to look and say, Rico, top 10 in the league and catching the ball at the back. Maybe we should give him more passes out the backfield. Or you could have did that to Tony Pollard too. But that's a whole different discussion. But it never happened. I'm hoping moving forward, since Rico Dowdle is going to be involved heavily in this offense, I have my doubts that anybody else is going to unseat him as the second guy if he's not the first guy. I'm hoping they lean into what he does very well. And him and TP to me were very similar in the sense I want them to stick their foot in the ground and go. Give them options from a zone standpoint, stick your foot and go. The whole gap exchange, the whole gap scheme thing, I don't like it with those two. I didn't like it last year with Rico. I didn't like it with Tony Pollard. But he is underrated as a pass catcher. Don't look at him as a Christian McCaffrey. Don't look at him as a Darren Sproles or something like that. He's just more of a tough guy to deal with in space because he'll try to run through you. And he's got some shiftiness to him to make you miss. So I say all that to say, as an X factor, you could argue Rico Dowdle is probably number one. You could argue he's probably number one because he's not going anywhere. He's going to be in tandem with Ezekiel Elliott. He's going to play hopefully a lot. And if the stars align, because that's important. If the stars align, he stays healthy, and they actually give him the ball a little bit more, you're going to need to count on him to be productive. Because the Cowboys need the run game to complement the pass game. We cannot do what we've done over the years. We cannot do what we've done in the playoffs. We've said this many a times. You could argue maybe he's the most important X factor the Cowboys have on this team, man. So Rico Dowdle, for me, number one. Skill player. Let me leave it at that. Because offensive line, I think you put in a different category because offensive line is the probably biggest X factor on this team. Rico Dowdle's Deuce Vaughn, the secret RB1. I'd argue Deuce Vaughn could be an X factor. I didn't include him on here. I don't have confidence that Deuce Vaughn is going to be truly a part of the offense. So what I tried to do is give you two guys today that I do think will be a part of this offense. Questionable how much, but if the stars align, their importance of being X factors. But yeah, Deuce is your prototypical X factor. A guy who's probably not going to play a whole lot, but can possibly do some things when he gets the ball. Toxic believes it's fool's gold, running back by committee. Yeah, I mean, I don't recall the last time they truly did that. 2015, I wouldn't even say 2015. They just had a bunch of backs and then they settled on DMC. They don't do it here. And I start to think about this for a second, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong or if you got a different thought about it, let me know. Jerry Jones being around, with Zeke being the lead guy, DeMarco being the lead guy, on the heels, he bought the team after Tony Dorsett. Then obviously Emmitt Smith. This franchise probably doesn't believe in it. McCarthy is a different situation. McCarthy comes from a stables and tandems and multiple backs, running backs by committees. Hence why he said, hey, we're going to be running back by committee. Well, if it's up to him, I believe him. But I think he's fighting up top. Now, this will be very interesting. We didn't do our running back state of the unit because we've been talking about this unit forever. So kind of just letting it drag a bit. McCarthy came out and said, we're not using Zeke in the same way that he was used in the past. Not happening. But it was just 2 seasons ago. 2023, then 2022, where Jerry Jones goes on TV, I think ESPN or something, and says, this offense will go as 21 goes. And I'm just sitting here like, are you kidding me? We're still leaning on a guy who's constantly banged up. Don't do this to him. They haven't mentioned that though. I haven't heard Steven or Jerry say anything like that. But if Jerry comes out and shows any inkling of 21 being a 275 touch type of back, well, you can forget running back by committee. I'll believe McCarthy in what he says, but I question just how much juice he'll have in that, because the guy up top loves 21. If he starts, getting first downs and doing this and the jersey, well, it's 15 now. 15. He loves 15. If the guy is getting first downs and selling jerseys and all this stuff, would not shock me if the running back by committee is scrapped. It shouldn't be. The best thing for this Cowboys team is to feature 2 to 3 backs, 2 backs very minimum, 3 backs in my opinion, so that by the time we get to the postseason, these guys are fresh and healthy. And Rico Dowdle is a part of that. And 2 carries in the postseason is unacceptable. I get it. He's banged up. But are you healthy enough to play? You're supposed to exhaust all options in the postseason. I'm running you to your ankle, can't ankle anymore. To your hip, ain't got no quickness to it anymore. And you needed to set some sort of tone in that game. I digress. All I'm saying is Rico Dowdle is 100% an unpredictable influence, a.k.a. X factor. And from a skill position standpoint, I think number 1. Let's see here. The Joneses are stubborn people who think they're right when they're wrong, says Dallas Sports 77. Fair. There you go. Ain't that what he said, Professor O? He's the straw that stirs the drink. That's what he said in 2022. This ain't 2016. This ain't 2018. It's 2022. We started to see what we needed to do at the running back position to help him. And I'm not putting this on Zeke. You need to help him. It's that simple. Anthony says Rico better start. I don't think he's going to start though. Yeah. That. I do think. I do think politics are going to play into who runs out of that tunnel and starts the game off and gets the carry. And 2nd and 8. Here we go. 15 gets the. No, in all seriousness though, I do think Ezekiel Elliott's going to be the star. Honestly, I don't think it matters, because if Zeke runs out there and gets the first 2 plays of the game, then Rico comes. As long as there's a legitimate plan, as long as Rico Dowdle's not getting 8 snaps, 6 snaps. That's all I'm saying. Maybe they add another guy. When I was looking this up, I happened to look at some Royce Freeman stuff. And I think Royce can really, I think he can be a part of this stable. I would love to keep him in this stable, but I don't think they're going to. I think Hunter Luepke got a leg up. And we'll talk about the running backs another time. Deuce is a pick. Obviously, Zeke and Rico are the guys. I hate it. That's all I'm saying. So Rico Dowdle, Cowboys Nation, how we feeling there? As long as they have a plan, says Smoke, for all the backs, I'm good, but we can count on scheme to be nice. Yeah, the plan is huge. Not just the plan for the backs, but obviously the plan in the scheme. Yes, Wayne says the scheme. Yes. The Guru Zeke started, but Pilot in relief was clear best, most dangerous running back. Yeah, that's why I'm not tripping too much on the starting aspect. From time to time, you can switch it up depending on the team, but if they roll him out there to start, as long as it's not, hey, he got 20 carries 3 games in a row, you're going to wear him down by the time you get to the postseason. Mix it up. Swain said Rico's solid for sure, but not RB1. We're going to have a discussion here soon. Professor O dropped a stat yesterday that was very interesting to me. and correct me if I'm wrong here, Professor, you said this was the first time in 30 years or something, or ever maybe, that no back had 300 touches. Can you run that stat back to me? Run that back to me, because I don't know if that's going to change. I know a lot of football can circle the wagon, and that's where I'm at, Toxic. I don't know if I think we're going to get to a point in football where RB1 is just going to solely be a fantasy football moniker, right? The league has already transitioned to a committee approach, tandem approach long ago. The Cowboys were just late on this situation. Yes, you have a Derrick Henry. You have, you want to put Saquon in there? You can. I don't know. Yes, you have a Derrick or a Saquon or a Christian McCaffrey, but few and far between, right? You maybe got, 4 real, workhorse type backs. And if we're being honest, that's really not the best way to go about it. I don't know what they put in the San Francisco water, but how in the hell did Christian McCaffrey go from being injury prone in Carolina to playing and durable and getting ridiculous amount of touches, then getting to the postseason and getting the same touches and not getting hurt? It's strange. But the reason why I think you're going to start seeing teams veer from that workhorse mentality is because it's 17 games now, likely going to move to 18. It's tough to keep these backs healthy in today's age. And you need, at the very least, 3 guys. At the very least. Carolina sucked, but I mean, what that got to do with him getting tackled 10 yards down the field and getting hurt? You know what I'm saying? Like, he was injury prone. You touch him. Christian McCaffrey was getting hurt. It was very strange. He was getting injured at practice. My calf, my knee, out. Goes to San Francisco. I mean, he's running dudes over. He's not getting hurt in practice. Know what's in the water, man. Don't know what's in the water. So that's my first guy. As I talk about this next guy, something that I've been saying for a very long time, probably the last 3 years or prior to 2023, the last 3 years. The offense in Kellen Moore's era constantly found itself in this weird rut. We always called it, hey, man, it's starting to get weird. And one of the things I would always say is when that happens and you're in this rut, the cheat code is to give the ball to a spark plug player. And Tony Pollard for 2019, 2020, 2021 was that spark. 2022 was that spark plug player. And you'd argue in 2022 he was a part of the offense, where the years before he was kind of just a reserve type guy. That spark plug player to me now is KaVontae Turpin. KaVontae Turpin, for as many snaps as he saw increase last year, and we'll get to that here in a second, I thought he needed to see more, especially when you got in these games where you couldn't move the ball, or there was, the connection between Dak and Lamb might have been off, or Cooks and Dak might have been off. You couldn't get the run game going. There's a cheat code, ladies and gentlemen. It's KaVontae Turpin. All the more reason why it was extremely frustrating in the most important game of the season, the playoff game, at the crib at that. KaVontae Turpin, 0 attempts, 0 targets, 0 carries. Are you kidding me? The moment you went out there and you saw, hey man, Dak on third down, so pull the ball down, run and get a first down. The moment you saw CeeDee Lamb drop the first down on 3rd and 8 or whatever it was, and he's head down pouting, and on the sideline, you got to console him. Whoa, we need to take a breather. We need to find an easy way to get something going to get back on track. The easiest thing to me was that, man. It's not that difficult. Jet sweep, boom, he gone. Quick screen tunnel, boom, get upfield. Hell, if you just wanted to take a shot just to loosen everybody up. Hey, Turp, remember that play we did in San Francisco? We're going to run that same play. Remember that play we did against the Washington football people? We're going to run that same play. But for whatever reason, the Cowboys insisted to be more stubborn and force the ball to CD early, no matter if the Packers actually had a pretty decent answer to how to combat that. Turpin spoke a few months back about his mindset heading into year 3. And he said this: going into year 2 of this offense, year 3 for him, now it just feels like confidence. I go out there, I play fast and everything. They can put me in any position and I'll just go in and play fast. I'm glad I was able to do OTAs last year and this year. It helped me a lot to be the helped me a lot to be the player that I am. If you remember, going into last season, McCarthy basically said, look, he didn't have OTAs his first year. We didn't really trust him, and he didn't say that, but you can just read between the lines. He had to learn the offense more. Well, year 3, he knows the offense. Year 2 in Mike McCarthy's offense, he's saying things, hey, put me anywhere, I'm good to go. And you kind of saw that as the year went on for KaVontae Turpin. You know, there was the play against the Washington football people. I thought it was impressive for him. He gets out there, he's reading the coverage. Him and Dak communicating. He sees what happens. I don't know what the call is. If it's a certain coverage, he runs a certain route, whatever. But if it is, he adjusts, stays up the seam, gets a 35-yard touchdown or whatever it was. But bottom line, you saw his snaps increase from 62 to 140. That's a 125% increase. And yes, those snaps in the grand scheme of things weren't a lot, but they were productive. He was 4th on the team in receiving touchdowns. And of the 8 players that had double-digit targets, there was 8 of them on his team, KaVontae Turpin was 2nd in receiving success per Pro Football Reference. You could imagine who was in front of him. CeeDee Lamb. This is a real threat here. This is a real X factor here. His speed is real. Look at this. The big play potential is real, and not just on offense. He spoke about, that on offense, but he also spoke about the new rules and how it could help him on special teams. Here's KaVontae Turpin.
This is my 2nd year with the offense, so I feel like I'm a veteran in offense now, so everything, I'm just going out there playing fast now. I ain't got to worry about too much, think too much, and basically just read the defense and just go play football. I feel like it's going to be hard to do because the only way you can kick it away from me is like doing line drives and making it roll to the end zone where I got to go get it and kneel it, and the ball come out on the 20-yard line. So that's pretty much the only thing I really can think in mind about them doing right now.
Turp got the crazy country accent. That's the only thing that I don't worry about right there, right now. Iceberg, get up, boy. That boy country as hell. Hey, but look, he can play. Turpin can play. And this new rule on special teams, I think we'll get to see Turp finally. Turpin ain't take one back to the crib yet, and this is crazy to me because he's a phenomenal returner, but he just can't finish. I don't know what that's about. But now they have to kick it to you or risk being on the 30. That's the rule. The rules are interesting. I think they're adopting the XFL rules. And they asked him in that interview, hey, are you guys working on different things? And he's like, every day. Bones and I, every day, are working on ways to make big plays on special teams. And I believe it. I believe that he will. I think Turp will finally take one to the crib on the kickoff. Think about this for a second. In his first season, he only returned the ball 21 times. That's not a lot. That's not a lot at all. But 21 times. In his second season, after being a threat. Let's say this. He had a few good returns in his rookie year. He returned the ball 11 times. That's more than half, right? So with the new rule, they'll have to kick it to him or they'll risk the Cowboys getting great field position. And yes, I, in his rookie season, kind of laughed at him being an all-pro without returning the touchdown. But at the end of the day, he still put the team in good field position a good bit. So getting him to rock on special teams where he can take one to the crib, get him to rock out the backfield, get him to rock deep or short or jet sweep, to me, makes KaVontae Turpin the ultimate X factor, Cowboys Nation. Notice, I didn't say he's the most important. I just think he's the ultimate X factor. So I only wanted to talk about two of them today because I really wanted to kind of pick your brains on some guys you believe could be X factors in this offense and just have a conversation. I think Rico and Turp, if these stars align, and for Turp, I don't think they necessarily, it's hard for that to happen. You know, there's no more Michael Gallup. Those 80 targets, whatever it was for Gallup, you know, they're going to get dispersed a little bit to Tober, a little bit maybe to Brooks. I think a lot of it should go to KaVontae Turpin. They did not bring in a veteran wide receiver, right? If they brought in Zay Jones or whomever else, then maybe, you know, Turpin goes down the rung a little bit. I don't think a rookie like Ryan Flournoy is going to be able to gain the confidence of the coaching staff in year one to jump way up to wide receiver 3 type snaps. I think this will be a combination of Turpin, a combination of Brooks and Jalen Tolbert. You know, those are the guys who've been around and understand the offense. So unless they bring in another dude, why not Turp? Why not? Lowercase x, that's good. Ferguson, the next X factor. Ferguson is too good to be it. See, Ferguson to me falls in that Des Bryant X factor category. We don't want that. I'm not saying he's Des. What I mean is when you start talking about X factors, like I said, the definition by Webster, a circumstance, quality, or person has a strong but unpredictable influence. We know it. We know what Ferg gonna be. You know what I'm saying? We know what Ferg gonna be. Ferg, he gonna be that dude. Ferg gonna be that dude. Ooh, I like that. Ferg is the factor. Okay. Go back. Smoke said, go back to that reverse and look at your boy Biotish not even getting to the cornerback block. The one reason we got rid of his tail. Yeah, man. Yeah. Somebody had mentioned the 33rd team thing, and I happened to see it again this morning, and I saw Biotish was number 1. Question. I mean, I don't really care about the Eagles, but who's their center now? Because I feel like whoever their center is, it got to be better than Biotish. Because it's either going to be Landon Dickerson or the other kid. Damn, I forget his name. He was a guard. Was it Nebraska he went to? They moved him to guard, and he's supposed to take over for center. I guess Biotish went to the Pro Bowl, so they got to use him. But I don't know, man. I don't really see it in Biotish like that. Jergens. Thank you, Jergens. D Shift gave me the Jergens name here. Let's wrap the D Shift. What's good with you, man?
Hey, what's going on, Scott?
Not much, dog. Just talking about X factors.
Man, good, dog. Just a transition from, I guess, segue from those centers. What about Cooper Beebe?
Yeah, so
just giving you a.
So what I mentioned, I'm not sure if you came in here at the beginning of the show.
So just skill players.
Yeah, it's kind of more talking about skill players because look, let's be real.
Okay.
The ultimate X factor for this entire team probably is the offensive line. I mean, if you want to name an individual, BB's one for sure. Tyler Guyton, might be right up there as well. And those are rookies. Terrence, if Terrence get back to 2021, 2022 Terrence. So yeah, offensive line for me is the X factor, but I kind of wanted to focus a bit on the skill guys, and specifically Rico and Turp because I haven't really dove in on those guys statistically and the behind the scenes and things like that, behind the curtains, I should say, with those two dudes.
Okay, but I thought I thought the Jake Ferguson thing was a good mention, only for the simple fact that I anticipate Jake Ferguson stepping into that elite category this year, or crossing my fingers, right? So I feel like if he can step into like that elite category, that Kittle, that Kelsey, then that in itself could be an X factor for this offense. Just because of what you have like already in CD, you're lacking like that true number 2 receiver that you would like to have. You like Cooks, but I think if Ferguson can step into just that elite category, and that's all subjective, so that may be like kind of pushing it.
No, I don't think you're pushing. I don't think you're pushing it at all, bro. I think we had this conversation before. To me, I'm making Ferg my number 2 option. He may not be a receiver, but he's my number 2 option. In the same way, Kittle is probably number 2 in San Fran. The same way Mark Andrews is number 1 in Baltimore. In the same way, Kelsey is number 1. Like, why can't your tight end be one of your top 2 receiving options? The dude is a mismatch problem.
Well, you saw a lot of situations too, man, where he took over a game, and beyond from getting stats, where I would love to see him be consistently like in that 1,000 yards. But that might just be chalked up to like game plan and just Dak's.
Yeah, tight ends.
Just to like,
tight ends ain't like receivers. We're going to get 15, 20, I don't know, 1,000-yard receivers. You'll probably get 3,000-yard tight ends, if that. I mean, how many was it last year?
It's always the elite guys too, like the Kittle, the Kelsey, or just a guy.
I don't even know
a tight end where the offense just runs like strictly through the tight end, like the Ravens back in the day, where they didn't have like no true number 1 wide receiver, so they had like tight ends who would consistently
and
be up there.
Kittle only done it 3 times in his career, so it's one tight end last year at 1,000 yards. Now, granted, Kelsey could have did it. He didn't play all of them. Ingram was close. Hawkinson was close. But, one did it in 2023. One in 2022. You see, 2020. I know there was one year where, a couple. Here we go. Andrews and Kelsey did it in 2021. So it doesn't happen often. That's why, like, if you get 700-plus yards of tight end, 5+ touchdowns, that's a top-tier season. And if you start entering 8, 9, 1,000 yards, and then 7, 8, 9, 10 touchdowns, that's an all-pro year.
Well, he's definitely like on his way to that.
Yeah, I agree.
I just thought at the end of the year that's when he really started like taking over and like he would start perking their ears up. Like, 'cause I remember last year it was like that Jake Ferguson dude, but at the end of the year it was like, oh, Jake Ferguson. So like if he can just take that next step, I think that'd be a pretty cool X factor for you, man. But I appreciate you, dog.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. And honestly, that will be determined off of opportunities. I've said this a lot, right? Like tight ends, a lot of it is about opportunities. Some tight ends to me aren't as talented as others, but they have better statistics because they got the ball more. They got the targets more. I'll use Schultz. Schultz a couple years ago at 800-yard season, 8 touchdowns. I don't think he was better than some of these other tight ends. He just got the opportunity. He was kind of your de facto wide receiver 2B3, or I should say target. And so, yeah, I think, oh, you still on the phone? I thought we were done. Go ahead. I'll bring you back.
Well, I got you on the line. How's Ferguson's run blocking to you? Like, how's that?
I think Ferg can block. For sure, but I'm not trying to limit him to just being Luke Schoonmaker, right? Where just stay in there and block. Nah, he is more of a weapon as a pass catcher, a receiving guy. But don't get it twisted. He ain't afraid of the smoke. He a fighter. He was a linebacker before. Is he Jason Witten? No. I mean, that's not who he is. But Ferg, I think Ferg is a guy you don't have to say, I'm scared to run his side or anything like that. Could he get better in it? He'll tell you, sure. But I'm not looking at Ferguson as a run blocker as a liability. No, I think he is one of the more complete guys. Ferg really started to kind of take off in the Cardinals game. And then in New England was when he had his career day. And from there, it was on, he saw only 1, 2, 3 other games where he had less than 3 receptions. Well, 2 games. I'm sorry. Other than that, it was constantly 4, 7, 5, 6, 4, 6. And again, uptick. If he could average 6 receptions a game, I think that helps the Cowboys. 100%. Toxic Tom, good morning, my brother. How are you?
Good. Hope you're having a good time. East Coast missed you, other than it's been hot as hell. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're getting ready to have a great 4th by blowing up a small chunk of America with illegal fireworks.
Hey, I ain't trying to hear about no heat on the East Coast, dog.
That's fair enough. At least you have a nice garage that you can put your car into, right? That's what the purpose is for.
That's what I thought.
So, to be very short and brief, to me, the largest X factor, pun intended, is Mike McCarthy. And the reason is he's wildly unpredictable. It all starts, and the biggest issue with Dallas for me when it comes to the team is your coach.
Hey, Cowboys.
And we have not had quality coaching for a very long time. And you can see it when Mike McCarthy it's put up or shut up time. And you see guys like Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur dog walked you, man.
Did.
Kyle Shanahan has dog walked you.
Did.
And I look at him, and we keep asking the same question. Hey, this guy's doing great. Or, hey, this really worked. Why do we stop doing it? And it's a consistent, it's a testament as old as time. Hey, this works. Why did we stop? And D-Ship brought up Jake Ferguson. To me, Jake Ferguson is not only an X factor, he is your biggest mismatch nightmare on the entire offense. I don't know many safeties or linebackers.
Outside of CD, right?
I would say he's a bigger mismatch than CD. The way you can attack the middle of the field, whereas cornerbacks and safeties, I don't know of too many linebackers that can keep up with a guy like Jake Ferguson, just because of his athleticism, his speed. Go ahead.
I agree. My counter would be that CD goes in the slot, and I don't think anybody can fool with him in there. So, like, he can be a mismatch inside and outside. Mm-hmm. That's all.
Then I would never say you're right, wrong. I can't disagree with you. I just think that you have all of these pieces. You have so many ways we can dissect this, and it just feels like our run game, as much as I want to believe in Rico, I just don't believe with Zeke there, our front office is just going to let it go running back by committee. I don't believe they're going to change the offensive scheme when it comes to the running. It just feels like we're stuck in the 1990s with this entire thing. And that's why I hope that Mike McCarthy has a fire lit up under his cottage cheese ass and that he knows that, dude, it is either shit or get off the pot.
Yeah.
Screw that old man up there. F the game plan that he's talking about. I'm doing it my way. Because if he doesn't do this year, then he's probably the biggest putz since Jason Garrett. Because I have little respect for Mike McCarthy as it is right now, because of last year was your chance to show, hey, your style of offense, and you showed up into the offense. You showed up into that postseason and looked like you didn't even want to be there. So to me, if Mike McCarthy can turn back time and look like a modern offensive style coach, I think this makes this whole offense go to a completely different level. That is my take on this.
I agree, Toxic. When I was watching, I don't even know what film it was, man. It's all starting to mesh now because I'm back into like watching individual players' film. And I saw a play. In fact, it might have been Turpin. Mm-hmm. I saw some plays where I'm like, hey, what happened to that at the end of the year? Like, where did that go? Mm-hmm. I didn't see that in the playoffs. And I used to have that thought with Kellen Moore. And I don't know why that carried over to McCarthy, because he's a completely different dude, comes from a different era, different scheme. But it always baffles me when you get to big important games or the playoffs and you hold things back. That I'm unleashing everything. I don't care if it's, well, what if the next week season? There is no next week. That's how I approach this thing. And it was very, and I hate to go back to the game, but you brought it up. It was very generic, stagnant. We talked about it. The first 3 drives, I think they had 2 plays where it was pre-snap motion, and it wasn't at snap motion. It was very basic stuff. So it was just, I was just dumbfounded at this game plan coming out, and I'm like, okay. As I'm watching, I'm like, all right, we're going to need 4, 88, 87, and 20 to just completely go rogue and take over, and that didn't happen. Clearly, they only 87 really took over, and by the time 4 started getting in the groove, it was too late.
And that's where I appreciate you and Vach especially, because I listen to you guys the most. You bring nuance to this in the mainstream media, and everyone else is going to blame your quarterback. And I looked at that entire offense, and that whole unit looked like crushed ass. I have no idea why they rolled up in there and just said, hey, everything that we did that worked this whole or previous seasons or this whole season, let's not do that. Let's just go back to predictability. It is infuriating, and it just always reminds me of what you said when you were at that training camp and you said, hey, they weren't doing any of this. They were doing different stuff, and we never saw it. And to me, that is just unforgivable, completely unforgivable. What are you even doing at training camp then? You don't even need to install anything. You already got your predictability down pat. So for me, Mike McCarthy, if you're hearing this, please, dude, screw that effing old man. Show us that you are a Super Bowl winning coach and not Jason Garrett's fat older brother. Please, for the love of God. And the last thing I'll say to the chat, don't be a Jason Pierre-Paul this week. Come back next week with all your digits. Y'all have a great and safe 4th of July.
Okay, so then, now, when does crack? Now, so the cocaine's happening.
The cocaine is clearly happening with Toxic Tom, man. I love you, Toxic Tom. You come on with the crazy takes. Not crazy takes. The good takes. They're great takes. But you becoming that coach, like, he came on and said, the largest X factor, pun intended, is Coach McCarthy. Hey, yo, the fat shaming of Coach Mike McCarthy is unreal with our guy. Toxic takes, man. Man, you're good. I feel you, bro. I do too. I want to win I want to win very badly. And removing skill players aside, absolutely. 100%, McCarthy is probably your most important coach. Zim obviously is part of that, but getting to the playoffs, we talked about this a lot, man. Preparation, confidence, adapting, game plan, that's on your head coach. When you're not prepared, when you're not confident, you constantly come out. I mean, I'm talking about every single time. Even in the game against the Bucks, people forget, they ran the score up, but in that game, they start off slow. Every time you're starting off slow in the playoffs, that is not on one individual player. That is on a collective group, and who leads that collective group to me is the head coach. That's the guy responsible for getting the team ready to play. I don't care if he's an offensive coach or a defensive, it doesn't matter. You're the head coach. And I always talk about what B. Bird told me in 2021, and that the way they came out in that game compared to the way the Niners came out, boom box, Kodak Black, and coach said, hey, man, I could tell our guys were nervous. Nervous? I didn't even hear Jason Garrett say the Cowboys were nervous in 2016 or 18. He should have kept that to himself. If the Cowboys were nervous, that's on you, sir. Why are they nervous? And B. Bird was like, you only feel that way when you're not confident in your preparation. I said, because you can tell how confident the 49ers were. Jimmy Flyhookem, what's up with you?
Man, what's going on, Scott? Trying to hook something. Per usual.
Yes, sir.
Man, that boy talked to Tom something else, man. He off the chain, man.
Off
he actually
the chain.
deterred my whole X factor that I was gonna say at first because he mentioned Coach McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
And man, super facts. I mean, you look at our squad. You talked about Turpin. You talked about Rico. We talked about Ferg, CD. We got some studs. So I'm gonna take a page out of Bobby Petrino's book. Sometimes you just gotta feed the studs and keep it simple, man.
Yeah.
You talked about the quick bubble screens and things of that nature. We got the answers, but you got the track queued up for politics. We got that in factor, you know what I'm saying? And we got a scary-ass head coach. I think about Waterboy.
I was
that
just
one
watching
coach-
that yesterday, by the way, but go ahead.
You know how that one coach was always nutted up against the other dude that was from across the city line or whatever? I forget the name of him or whatever.
Coach Klein?
Whenever they played him, Coach Klein had his head game messed up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We got to figure out a way to, number one, get some confidence in the head coach, because as a player, you're going to be able to pick that up. And if you are a player and you see that, you got to be able to pull in your team and say, hey, not only damn what the ownership doing, but damn what coach talking about. We want to win this game. I think about the passion you saw between Kelsey and his coach in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's a moment where, at the end of the day, sure, I'm a tight end, I'm a player on this team, and sure, you're the head coach, but standing side by side, we two men talking. At the end of the day, are you trying to win, coach? I'm trying to win. Let's get it. You know, sometimes somebody got to be checked, and sometimes people are scared because of the politics that's in place.
Man, Hookem, you talking, bro. And as you're talking, I'm thinking about, there's this weird line in Dallas, okay, where a player like Dez Bryant's passion on the sideline is no longer there, but when it was there, it was misinterpreted, right? And the Cowboys no longer have that, but I think they need something like that for at the very least to, as Micah said, just bring the spirits back up. I hardly ever see it, and I'm not at every game. And honestly, you can, when you go to these games, you've probably been to some, the sideline's not as packed as you think. It's a lot of room. You can see these guys individually depending on where you're sitting. So that's why people say, CD Lamb's over there by itself, because you can see it. It's not, on TV, it looks packed. In person, it doesn't. And you can tell, is anybody emotionally charged up after a good play, bad play, mostly if you're down? You don't see it. Dez always had that fire, and I know what we're using Dez today, but who's that guy? Because D-Law in the locker room talks a big game, but on the sideline, he's quiet as a church mouse. Micah came out on his podcast at the end of the year and said, you know what, I want to be more vocal during the game so that, we can have that spirit, because there is nobody that's doing that. So as you're saying that, I'm like, yeah, who's Travis Kelce going over to Coach Mike McCarthy like, hey, mother, what's going on? Why you got your hands in your face and it's 7-0? Why are you throwing stuff down on the ground? Throw it at Dak or throw it at CD or whomever, right? I don't care if you got to go cuss out Brian Schottenheimer. Where's the fire to get us back going? That's all I'm saying.
So that's a direct result of the top down. Basically, it's kind of like, I hate to use this analogy, but I'm going to use it anyway. It's kind of like in the old days where if you want to prove a point, you take out the biggest person. So in order to gain control. And I'm trying to avoid the whole slavery topic, but there's a thing that it interrupts somebody's way up.
I know what the bucket. I know what you're talking about.
Right. So since we know what we're talking about, I'm going to move on from that analogy and just get to it. At the end of the day, the Joneses want somebody with that type of passion, but they want to be able to control it themselves. That's the problem. You notice anybody that stands up for themselves don't last around here, starting with Jimmy Johnson way back when. And so I put a statement in the chat some minutes ago that said, I don't see the Joneses owning the Cowboys in the next 10 years. Because in this day and time with the climate of everything that's going on, sure, he got a lot of money, but Donald Sterling was one person of many who act the same. He just got caught.
So
at the end of the day,
are you under the assumption that there's some things that will come out or in the next decade that he'll have to sell the team as opposed to him selling it willingly?
I think there are people that understand how valuable the market of Dallas Cowboys is from a business standpoint and see a longevity of winning if done the right way, not from a perspective of I have to be the person that gets you credit for putting it all together and being the reason why we win. Right,
but that doesn't mean he's going to sell because there's people that
no. But when big money gets into play, here's the thing: when big money gets into play, and they want Jones out, that's the thing. At any point when owners want him out or somebody with the money enough to want him out, the information will begin to leak.
But
it's only a matter of time.
But Hookem, that's why I asked the question. Are you saying he's going to be forced to sell the team because something will come out, or he will willingly sell the team because he just wants to sell the team?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's my fault, man. No, I don't know, really. If it'll be...
Uh-oh. We lost Hookem. Yeah, I can't remember if he was the gentleman who brought this up before. Might have been, because this is the second time I heard it here. I don't think they willingly sell it at all. I think they could lose for 15 more years. It doesn't matter. Look at Washington. And that dude was not arguably, it was more corrupt. But I don't know. There's some things going on with Jerry. But Dan Snyder was super corrupt owner. And it took how many years? He bought the team in like 2000 or something like that? 21, 22, 23. It took a long time for him to get up out the paint. And they were talking about trying to get him up out the paint for like a decade. Nobody's talking about getting Jerry out the paint. You know why? Brother Jimmy, I'm going to bring you back in here in a second. It is going to take something like a Hiroshima bomb for him to be put up out the paint. This ain't the Clippers and Donald Sterling. This ain't Dan Snyder. This is Jerry Jones, one of the most powerful owners in the National Football League that is backed by all the owners, right? It's going to take, if you want to use mob ties, it's going to take one of the other bosses to give him a lot of the other bosses to give him the okay to take him out. Because don't think for a second here, Jimmy, as I bring you back up in this thing. Don't think for a second Jerry ain't got something on these dudes. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, that's super facts, man. let me provide context. I understand. I'm from Arkansas again. Let me remind everybody.
Okay, so you ready to ride the way.
I know exactly who Jerry Jones is. You know what I'm saying? And that goes to show you how much I love my Cowboys. Because in spite of, I'm still gonna rock with the Cowboys. But at the end of the day, you're absolutely right. Jerry Jones is the head wigger in charge at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to the league. You know what I'm saying? Not even just the league, but if you know how money works, he probably got some pull in a lot of places across the country, period. But we ain't going to get into all that.
Yeah.
So, Jerry is what, 85?
Something like that. Like 80, 81, somewhere around there.
Look, if they blackball him on a black market, he should be out here in 5.
Shoot,
everybody ain't gonna catch that.
I just happened to look at it saying, say it again. I missed it. Say it again.
I said if they blackball him on the black market, he'll be out of here in 5.
They might not have to. 80-something years old, and he probably look. When you a billionaire, and you Cowboys, stress get to you. They might just say wait, just wait it out.
But the only thing is, what we do about son and daughter? Don't you got a daughter too that's working with them?
Yes, that's why I don't think they'll sell. I mean, I don't think Steven's selling his team. I don't think Charlotte's selling his team. I don't think Jerry Jr. is. I don't know what is in his will, but I doubt that one person will have total control. I think it'll be a board type decision, and I just don't see it happening, brother.
Man, one can hope. One can hope, man. I'm trying to. I don't see us really being productive until he steps aside and the son steps aside and just let the coaches coach and the players play. If we can't get that, yeah. I mean, I love the Cowboy talk and the Cowboy podcast and all that, but shit, we just in here spinning mud at this point.
I say it all the time.
What's gonna happen when we hit the field?
I say it all the time. My hope is that obviously the Cowboys catch lightning in a bottle in the sense of we win in spite of. Because I do think we make it more difficult on ourselves, no matter how great we draft. That's not the end all be all. We make it more difficult on ourselves based off of the decisions we make that come from the top down. So, it can happen. I've seen worse coaches, I've seen worse organizations and franchises do it, but it'll take lightning in the bottle. Like it was lightning in the bottle for these franchises. Like, look, I don't as good as Joe Burrow is, I don't think Cincinnati's getting back in the next few years. It might be year 8, 9, 10 for Burrow because it's hard.
Yep.
It's hard to get back.
Yep.
It was a lightning in a bottle season. It was a great season, but it's hard. So, and he's a great quarterback.
Perspective on that one.
But
great perspective on that one because
Go ahead.
My bad. I wasn't trying to cut you off. You
You're
good.
good, man. I'll start rambling, but go ahead.
But no, I mean, that was a great analogy because Joe Burrow came in. You're right. That was lightning in the ball. It didn't really work out for him. Call it here, call it there. You know what I'm saying? And they did that with a poor line. Let's not forget that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I mean, you really just got to catch
That's
it.
hard. It's hard to get there with a line like that. It's so, you know.
It's hard. Yeah. It sounds to Joe Burrow because he wants to go like a G that whole season. You feel me?
Yeah.
And went down and still handled business. You know what I'm saying? Old cool Joe. But, man, going back to the original start of this call, which is about the X Factor, I agree with everything mentioned above. Because, I mean, we really got a lot of X Factors, truthfully. The only X Factor is McCarthy, but I will say a dark horse if given the second chance. And I don't even know if he's on the roster still. I ain't going to lie, so don't kill me in the comments.
I got you.
But what's the old boy that fumbled in the game and he never saw the field after that, Hendershot or something like that?
The tight end or the running back, Luepke?
Luepke, the one that fumbled against Miami.
That was Luepke.
Man, Luepke for the lowercase X Factor, man. We need somebody like that, man, because a lot of times on short down, I don't think Zeke going to be what everybody think on short yardage. That's just my opinion. You need somebody that's not only, man, I got to see it. I really do. And that's all it is to it. It ain't that I don't believe. I just got to see it. But with Hendershot, he's young, he's big,
Luepke.
And I think the more we watch sports in general, you will notice it's a cycle, right? You talked about the running backs earlier. There will be a time in the future where running backs become premium again, right? But however many years from now that is. But the HB has been lost for a long time. That twinger between running back, fullback, and tight end. And if Luepke can lock that spot down, you can put him in so many mismatch situations, just like you can Ferguson. And you get both of them on the field at the same time, you can really do some good running stuff.
So, yeah, Luepke is also another definition of an X factor if your offensive coordinator was Kyle Shanahan. If your offensive coordinator was LaFleur. If it was Mike McDaniels. If it was the dude over there in Houston. Luepke as an X factor.
If it was David Lee from the Arkansas Razorbacks, not just playing.
Luepke as an X factor in Dallas. Just like you got to see it with Zeke, I got to see it, bro. I don't see it. He's gonna make the team, right? I think he'll make the team for sure. But at what cost do you get Luepke involved? Like, who's not touching the ball now? Because
I mean,
I 1 second. I'm on the opposite side of you in the sense of Zeke being a third or short yardage guy, and so I think Zeke right now easily is your best short yardage and red zone guy. It's not even close to me. I think he can do that, no problem. The Cowboys had no problem doing it last year, believe it or not. Technically, TP was one of your better ones in the league, but that short yardage wasn't the problem. Goal line was the problem. Between the 20s, explosive plays was a problem because you didn't have his scheme. So I don't worry about short yardage, Luepke or no Luepke. My question to the Luepke is all of a sudden going to be whatever is, who are you sacrificing? I'm not sacrificing Lamb. I'm not sacrificing Ferguson. I'm not sacrificing Cooks. I'd much rather put the ball in Turpin's hand. I'd much rather put the ball in Rico's hand. And then there's a Hunter Luepke where you could potentially, bring that up. So if my X factor is a guy who may see 10 to 15 touches in a year, on a year where Michael Gallup is gone, right? Because I expect Turpin between carries and receptions and kickoffs and punts, he's going to see way more than 15 touches. It's tough. Say again?
No, you're absolutely right, man. At the end of the day, we do got, like I said at the beginning, we got a lot of weapons, a lot of X factors on the field. If he's going to make the team, I think if you start thinking long term as far as playoff is concerned, part of the problem that he had last year is because they tried to put that play in when he got close to the playoffs. They didn't try to work it in throughout the season to get him accustomed to it, right? You kind of got to get people built up in certain situations. You can't just put them in there cold.
You talking about the Miami game?
But yeah. And I'm just saying that in general, as far as trying to incorporate everybody in, you kind of have to, we beat teams pretty handily at times, right? And whenever we do that, are we really building for the future, or are we just trying to get through the week because we started out slow and we had to play our starters longer than expected?
Well, building to the future is what McCarthy says. He breaks it down into what do you say, quarters or something, or the seasons. I think now because the 17 games is a little less, but that's what McCarthy tells us, and I actually don't like that. Because you get to a big game in the beginning of the year and you're like, well, we can't unveil everything because we're only in our first quarter installment of the season. Man, screw all that. What's the best for that particular game and that game plan? If it's to do what you thought you was going to do in week 12, then do it in week 5. So week to week, as opposed to quarter of the season. But so that's what, apparently that's what McCarthy wants to do. In regards to the fumble for Luepke, I was told he just flat out thought it was a fake. That's just so it was a brain fart because in that he thought it was a fake because in that game he actually carried the ball and caught the ball at the backfield well between the 20s. So so he didn't get the ball much the rest of the year. But let me say this on a Luepke thing: if he's going to be an X factor, I think it'd be more as a blocker.
I'll take that. 100%.
Do I want it to be that? Do I want it to be that? No, I'm not. I don't want a fullback on the team to just block, but I'd much rather him be a dude that plays that. What's my man in San Francisco? Use check. I would love for him to be use check. I don't think we have the coach for him to be use check, and if that's the case, I'm just not taking the ball out of 5 other people's hands for his, just so he can be my X factor.
No, not at all. I guess the situation, the X factor. So I mean, walking back a little bit, but no, I was just throwing it in there because we had pretty much already named all the obvious X factors.
You're not. He can be. It's just this coach, this scheme. If he was anywhere else with a coordinator more creative in that sense, hell yeah. I mean, what's my man Picard? Is that his name in Baltimore? My man's 300 something pounds.
Yeah,
he's an X factor as a blocker.
Yeah. That's no different than Trent Williams being the X factor in San Francisco as a blocker. The way they move him around.
Yeah. Hey,
so
man,
you're absolutely right there. But I got to run.
Yeah, we got a lot of calls coming through. Let me go ahead and get to everybody here. So appreciate you, Jimmy.
The conference has been locked.
Like it as always, man. Everybody have a good one.
Let's get. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're gonna try to. We don't want to be that. See, I only had Nacho left, and then all of a sudden we got more, so we don't want to be that long-winded. So let's hear from Nacho real quick, and we'll keep moving. What's up, Nacho?
Well, Mask, I'll try to keep it short. Hope you're doing well. McCarthy's from Pittsburgh.
Yes.
And supposedly you come with that strong mentality and that toughness. He needs to install that if he hasn't. At this point, the team needs that edge. We've been missing that edge, from the coaching standpoint. That's going to permeate into that locker room and permeate on Sundays, and it's not happening. I see that, we need these players. We need someone. I'm just waiting for that moment in the game where you see a Dak Prescott, whether it's a Zeke Elliott, whether it's Micah or whoever it might be, but somebody to get on somebody's face, somebody to have that energy that a Des Bryant that you were alluding to earlier, where a lot of people hated and loved Des, but let me tell you, I loved his passion, and I love because he hated losing. We need passion. We need somebody to get on somebody's face.
I agree. This is what I hated about how fans treated Dez. I mean, it's kind of no different than what they're treating Michael right now. I just don't want people to be turning on him because he's on the sidelines, animated and whatnot. So, yes, at some point, he needed to probably mature a bit and understand when to use that. But at the same time, because you don't have so many players that do that, you got to look at him like, yo, let's just let him be him, right? So what I don't want to happen is if somebody starts to do that, now you got fans, oh, man, he's a diva, crybaby or something because, they're animated on the sideline. There's ways to do it. Hell, Tom used to do it a lot, yelling at his coaches and players like that. So I agree. I would love to see a player or two kind of pick up that vocal mantle during the games, right? Not just – in the locker room and in practices, but during the games to galvanize the team, and not in a J-Ron curse where, oh, maybe we're in this huddle and now I'm just doing this speech one time, right? Like, that's not what Dez did. Dez didn't just say, hey, everybody huddle up. I'm the vocal leader because I've kind of been given that moniker, but I'm not that good anymore, J-Ron. So I'm a yell and scream. Nah, Dez was genuinely passionate and pissed off, or genuinely hyping up his dudes on the sideline, his quarterback, his receiver, runner, whatever. Coach, hell, we saw him do it with Todd Haley, and Todd couldn't take it. So I'm with you. Give me a guy like that, man. But y'all fans, please don't turn on a player if they are trying to bring that passion back on the sideline, because let's be real, it's not there.
100. And then I'll leave you with this. If he had to pick one or two players that can do that and has that in him, do we have that in our team? Yes or no, Sky?
I mean, sure. I mean, because look, I wouldn't consider Dez a leader, right? In the sense of a kind of, I hate to say use the word grown up, but kind of a Larry Fitzgerald, right? I don't look at him in that sense. To be passionate, that anybody can do that. It's just, you ever hear the term, dance like nobody's watching? You ever hear that term?
Who's going to step up, right, Sky? Who's going to step up? Who's going to step up, and the game's on the line, and maybe we're making a mistake, and it's a little slap in the hand or a slap in the butt. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I use that term because a lot of players should have that passion. I think a lot of them do have that passion, but you got TV cameras. You don't want to politics. You don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. Express your emotions like no one's watching. And that's all it takes.
Absolutely.
You don't need to be Larry Fitzgerald. You don't need to be, even Tom Brady, though Tom Brady did it. But you don't need to be looked at as that type of dude to be the vocal guy during the game. So at some point, just let the passion run through you.
Absolute. So I'm hoping we can bring that, and I'm hoping McCarthy, can just come out of his shelf if he does have that in him. Suppose you talk like you're from Pittsburgh, you're tough, you're this. Okay, well then you know what? Go out there and show it. Do it. Get your team, raise your team to another level when you have to, because time's running out. Have a blessed day, my man. Okay?
All right, man. Appreciate you, Nacho.
Thank you.
Let's get the Bandar from Saudi Arabia. What's up, man? Long time no speak. Uh-oh.
Hello?
Here we go. What's up, Bandar?
Hello. How are you, Sky?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you, sir?
I was hoping you come here to Jeddah, my hometown. The WWE, it was here like last month.
Oh, you was hoping I was going to go see WWE in Saudi Arabia? Bandar, you crazy as hell. You think I'm just... They come around the corner, down the street. I'm not flying to no Saudi Arabia in this climate of the world. You crazy.
Yeah, I saw our corner, Lewis. He was bumping gas the other day. He come back to the car and he was dripping wet.
Yeah.
He was like, he was. It's very hot in Texas, apparently.
Very hot. Very hot.
First of all, I want to congratulate you. How is Enzo? How is everything? Everything's fine, hopefully.
Yes, he's healthy. He's growing. Everything is good on that end. Thank you, brother.
No problem. Listen, I don't want to take too much time. I know we're gonna finish the show, and I want just to give you your flower, as Foot says. Like everyone giving you like a great compliment. Brian Broaddus, Jeff Kavanaugh, all the guys, the content creator. You don't believe how many people. You might not see it, Sky, but a lot of Cowboy content creators, people on the radio, they all quote you. They all appreciate your great work you're doing. The off season has been really, really boring, and you're helping us a lot, honestly, with that contact. Honestly, I'm not joking. I mean,
Gotcha.
I wish I can wake up. I'm watching the WNBA, Euro soccer. I'm watching every sport. Nothing like the NFL. So I wish I can wake up and see you talking about the cookout. So I'm so excited about next season. And I mean, this will be I think this one will be a good season. I think so. all this problem we're seeing right now, I think this will be all season. I'm gonna talk now about the X factor. You on Watch last season, you talked about Spam Lamb. Me myself, I'm not for it. I like Dak quote. They used to ask Dak when he come to the league, who's your favorite receiver? He said the open one. Me, because I'm basketball. Yeah, because let me finish the point, then you can take it. Because I'm a basketball guy, and also I'm a soccer guy. I know it's the hardest way to to make the defense be in predicament is to attack them in a different way. I love CD. I think he's a top 3 receiver, but he was struggling to win one-on-one against Green Bay. I'm not a film guy like you, but I think he was frustrated because he was one of the best. But it does happen.
Sure.
So I think if we had a third receiver, like Foot said when he said we needed to draft a receiver, if we had a third receiver, I think we might took a lot of pressure off CD. What do you think? That's my X factor. My X factor next season is the third receiver. Whoever wins it.
I like it.
Tolbert or my guy Brooks. Or Flournoy. Whatever who wins it. This is my thing about it. What do you think, Sky?
I like that one, Bandar. I'm gonna take that one off air, as they say, off the phone here. But I appreciate the kind words, brother, and great question.
No problem.
Hey, that's a great point by Bandar, and shouts out to him, man, all the way from Saudi Arabia. I love when he calls it. He makes good points, kind words. Thank you so much. He said his X factor is the third receiver, right? And excuse me. That's a good one. If you go look at, I talked about Turpin being my X factor, and the whole breakdown of talking about Turpin, I said, hey, look, I think there truly is going to be a wide receiver 3 by committee per se. I think it won't just be Turpin, it won't just be Tolbert or Brooks. I think it'll be a collective, group effort to replace, I don't want to use the word replace, a Michael Gallup. But yeah, I mean, when things are tough between CD and Dak, which doesn't happen often, but we go back to the Packer game, let's just be real, it was tough for everybody. And I don't necessarily think it was tough because, the Packers were just taking away. CD dropped 2 passes, right? CD got in his own head. I think he made it tough on himself. Now, obviously, you had schematic things that you can say made things difficult, but I don't think the Packers did anything special. I don't. I think you aided them in we're going to run triple slants, right? And we're going to force CD the ball because the previous game or previous possession, Dak and CD are, not arguing, but, hey, man, you here. I need you here. And on the sideline, you got coach. So what happens the next possession? All right, we got to force feed CD the ball. Would a rookie wide receiver drafted now change that factor? I don't believe so. All you had to do was say, okay, we're going to let the game come to you. We still have a Cooks over here. Hey, I just talked about KaVontae Turpin. Hey, let's just get a quick jet sweep. Let's get him the ball really quickly. Tolbert had stepped up for you. I don't think you needed some amazing player just to get others involved. That's a coach quarterback thing. I think they decided to force feed him. And it's not because he couldn't shake dudes, in my opinion. I don't believe it's the case. Dude had a record year. He obviously could. He beat the man. He beat the zone. He beat all types of things. So that's a good one, though, the wide receiver 3 being an X factor. There are going to be games, though, where, CD, Dak, or points in games. It's not happening at this moment. Can somebody else take up that mantle? That's why I say for me, I'm making Ferg my 2, and that means Cooks can be my quote-unquote third option. So little nuances there. Wide receiver 3, Turpin and Tolbert and Brooks, Flournoy, whomever, right? Third option is Cooks to me. And I almost put him in here as an X factor. But I took him out. Because he shouldn't be an unpredictable, what's the definition? Let me go back and find it. He shouldn't be an unpredictable influence. if Cooks has to be an X factor, I think the offense is in a bit of trouble. Cooks should be a factor in the offense. It's that simple. I've got Braun again, and then we're gonna close out with our guy. What's up, Braun?
What up, Sky? How are you today?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Doing good. So the X factors, it's going to be 2 players and 2 coaches, but one of them is going to take 3. So I'm going to say it's going to be Deuce and KaVontae Turpin and Bones Fossil on the new kickoff rules. I think that is going to be a big X factor for the team as far as, they've just got juice. They do. Hopefully they can, really make some home run plays, and I do feel like that is going to be an advantage for us as far as for the year and this new kickoff rule goes. And then my second one is going to be Mike McCarthy and his offensive play calling. Going into year 2 and instituting a brand new system, trying to come up with, more plays, scheming people open.
Mm-hmm.
I think that second year maturation of trying to get other people involved is going to be big. So those are going to be my 4 X factors for the team this year.
So you got Deuce, Turp, Bones, McCarthy. Turp was one we talked about. Deuce is an interesting one because I think he'll make the team. He's a draft pick. Sometimes I don't even know if Deuce is a high enough draft pick for politics who play, but he might literally be your only juice guy that's not a slasher, right? Like I think there's some juice to Rico, but he's more of a slasher. The problem with Deuce is he doesn't have the long speed, but damn it, he don't got too many backs on the team right now that is jittery like that, right? He has a potential to be, if they truly run a committee approach, like they run a committee approach and it's, Zeke and Rico and Deuce, and I think Royce could fit in this situation. Yeah, he could be.
Well, and I'm not even talking about as a running back. I'm talking more as a kickoff specialist, on the new kickoff rules that are coming this year. You got Turpin and Deuce Vaughn.
You think they'll put 2 guys back there?
I think they'll put 2 guys, and even if they put 1, both of those guys are electric. They're fast.
You're not taking off.
Shifty.
Yeah, but you're not taking off Turpin for Deuce, though. So it'd have to be 2
Well,
guys.
I mean, yeah. They'll have the option for 1 or 2, and it'll be interesting to see. I mean, you saw, Deuce doing wide receiver work, so again, that comes into the Mike McCarthy, trying to add more wrinkles to his Texas Coast offense this year. But I just have a feeling that our kickoff this year is going to be special. I think we're going to have some game-changing plays, and it's going to give us a leg up over most teams in the league.
Yeah, I think Turp is one of those dudes. I'm interested to see with Deuce, though. He wasn't a punt returner in college. He had to work on it coming out. Didn't really get many opportunities so far as a young professional. He obviously has the jitteriness, the agility. He's a running back, but that return game a different animal, right? That return game is something different. So I would love for them to. I'm gonna keep it a bean. I wouldn't even put KaVontae Turpin out there during the preseason. Let old boy take all those reps so he can get used to it. So by the time the season comes, if he's on the team, gotta remember, so that by the time the season comes, he has that limited experience if they kick him to rock. Because think about it. If it was up to me and you got 2 guys back there, I'm not kicking it to KaVontae Turpin. I'm just not doing it. I'll take my chances with Deuce Vaughn.
Well, here's the thing with that new kickoff rule. They cannot kick it into the end zone. The players can't run until they catch the ball. So if they kick it out of the end zone, they start at the 40. Like a touchback.
I don't believe it's the 40. I don't believe it's the 40. But you do get, I think it's a 30. Somebody want to check on that one. I think it's a 30. But they can kick it out the end zone, but you risk them getting easy field position. And that's why I'm saying I would give Deuce more opportunity in the preseason. And if I was a team, I'm not kicking it to Turpin. I'm kicking it to Deuce. I'll take my chances with a guy who really hasn't shown any point in his career that he's a return specialist.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting for sure. I love watching that.
All right, man.
Sky, appreciate the time, man.
Thank you, bro.
Good work.
Yep. Yes, that's a few of you guys listed Deuce as an X factor, and I'm not going to fight that. I don't even know if he's going to make the team. So I try to list guys who I believe are going to be on this team for sure. All right, let's wrap this thing up with none other than Big Cat. What's good, Big Cat from New York? How you doing, man?
All hail the will still internationally known.
My guy.
Listen, my man, yo, I get I literally laugh and giggle every time I hear different things from you, dude. And like we always throwing flowers at you. I know you probably got hay fever and you got allergies and everything.
I'm humbled every time. Trust and believe me. I don't take this for granted, dog.
But listen, bro, for real, keep that engine rolling. Listen, man, my response. I've been listening to a couple of cats, and you lose some stuff when you get on different topics. But my X factors would be two groups, and people are talking around them all day, but it's two groups: the O line and the coaching staff. It's the birth, or I guess the rejuvenation of an old idea put in with some new wrinkles, and whatever Mike is doing, his idea of things culminated with other brains and all of this. It boils down to the idea that I truly believe Jerry and those guys brought back Zeke because they have this new understanding with the O-line. I think anybody could run behind this O-line if it's taught like it is right now. By taut, I mean tight, right? Pulled tight. If it's tight knit, like it's built to be right now, I think you could put any running back there and have your day and do halfway decent, because all you're trying to really do is take some of that pressure off of number 4.
That is,
I do believe,
high praise for a offensive line that we haven't seen yet. That's very, very high praise.
And that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. That's why I think some of the moves, again, preliminarily made because of what you think about what you did. The moves that you put in place, the pieces, the blocks that you went to build the wall, hoping that they work out, right?
Yeah.
So the other part is that Sky, I do believe Luepke could be, dare I say, a weapon. I believe that. But like you said, and that's why I kind of added to the understanding of the coaching staff, like you said, that man doesn't use that tool that way in anything he's done. He doesn't, that tool that he has in his pocket, Luepke, that boy can be a bruiser.
Yeah.
He definitely should be back there as a lead blocker, but I'm telling you, he got hands and he got feet like he Hakeem Olajuwon.
Bro, I would use him like use check. Like
that's what I'm saying.
You have to go back on the Luepke thing, and I mentioned this last year. Like, you have to figure out, what do you want him to be? If you want him to be John Kuhn, then you want him to be mostly a blocking guy who, 15 to 20 times out of the year catches a dump off pass. In the red zone, he gets you 3-4 rushing touchdowns because he's a big body bruiser. Or do you want to be Juszczyk? Yeah. Juszczyk is getting like 2 carries out of the year, but he's catching balls out the backfield. He's a move blocker. He's an I formation blocker in between the A and B gaps. Like, you figure out what you want him to do and let him work on his craft in that manner. Because I agree, he can be a weapon as long as the right person is pulling the trigger.
Right. And that's the key. Like, that's the key to all of it. We keep saying the same things. No matter what he does, and even in the Juszczyk idea, right? When Juszczyk did catch those passes, he was running for 20 yards.
Yeah.
The 2 catches he caught, it was 15, 20 yards, whatever it was, 25 yards. He rumbling, stumbling, bumbling down the field, and it's at those key moments. Mike, again, you alluded to something else when I'm listening. Yo, whatever.
No, I said the white person at first, and Vach is in here giving me hell.
Okay.
Was that a fraudulent slip? Nah. Hey. So you know what's gonna happen? That dude that says, Sky don't like the white people on his team. Apparently, he gonna come back in. See, I told you. Gotcha.
You know it's gonna happen. But that's the point, man. That's the point. It's not. I don't believe. All in all, I don't believe that there are too many problems on this team that cannot be addressed like they've not addressed the D tackle spot.
I'm about to say, bro, they got to address them. Let me help you out here. There are not many problems on this team that aren't unaddressable. Now, that might not even be a word, but right. I'm making it up, okay? Yeah. They can go address these situations fairly easily. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Without a doubt. And all there, and again, with the understanding of what we see as issues or the understanding of what we see as problems, bruh, the O-line just needs, I think it needs to be not even much better than last year. It needs to be better than last year's more consistent. Maybe that's the wrong word. I think more consistent with their
what I'd like to see
than last year's O-line.
Big Cat, and this may be asking a lot, especially because I'm not sure that they're built this way yet. There wasn't too many times, and I'm going to say this over the last couple years, where I was like, hey, the offensive line just straight up dominated the opponent. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, I would love for that to happen. The offensive line just dominated. Because, I look at Philly, and you look at some of these other teams, even a very basic offensive line like San Francisco, you're like, man, they dominated them dudes. We weren't playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage often, especially in the run game. And I think that, you don't need to be all pros across the line. What you need is to have the mentality from the coaches, meaning McCarthy, hey, this is the type of style you want to play, the teachings, and your offensive line coach, hey, this is the type of style we're going to play, and this is how we're going to do it. And then it trickles down to your players and scheme. But I would love for them to dominate a few times so that by the time we get to the postseason, they can go back and say, hey, we've done this before. We've done this 4, 5, 6 times in the season. Here's the proof. Let's go do it again in round 1 or wherever it is.
But that also goes back to, Sky, and just listening to you, because this comes back from part of your conversation earlier, too. That also goes back to the make of the quarterback. Of the coaching staff.
Yes.
That goes back to that.
Philosophies.
You can I don't care what you say, but any team that I've watched with balls, your coach he wasn't Jason Garrett. He wasn't laid back. He wasn't bumped. Your coaching team, your squad had balls. They took on the make of the coach, even the make of the city. A lot of that character, these guys calling and asking for some rah-rah dudes and these dudes that get up and spark. A lot of that understanding is societal now. It's social. It's changed. These dudes are not putting they're not putting that kind of stuff, like you said, on tape.
Yeah.
Now I know that I'm getting watched. And this interacts with my views on my podcast. This interacts with this understanding with the Sky, man, it's changed. Everything has changed. The cheerleaders.
Before you go too far left, it sounds like you're insinuating things are different, obviously, with these players. So therefore, the coach has to take that mantle, right? Where a guy like in Detroit, you got their coach who is going to be that guy. Pittsburgh, that's their guy, right?
Yes.
Andy's not really rah-rah type, but the beauty of Andy, if you listen to players that play with him, he allows their players to be able to do that without any repercussions. Say, hey, be you. If that's how you be you and be animated, whatever, and because we want you to be free out there on the field and on the sideline.
Exactly, and it shows itself like it did in Baltimore with the Ray Lewis crew. It shows itself
Different time, but yeah.
On the field, and you can see the coach on the field. You see that coach on that field and every one of those players. That's what needs to happen for that to be able to be okay. Dallas isn't that city.
You wanted something? Because what we say about Q, I'm running back to the defense corner. We saw the coach, in my opinion, on the field.
That's trying to say, bro.
And hopefully we see the Zimmer aspect of it, where these guys are a little bit more foaming at the mouth, and they're not for the just letting things go. Because what we didn't see them in the locker room. We didn't see the DQ in the locker room. What happened when they got to the locker room or whatever? You could hear it in 2022. Nobody wanted. I always bring back that Eagles game, man. It was like 5-6 dudes coming out saying the same thing, and in a sense of, hey man, we gotta do our job. This person gotta do this. That person gotta do that. Somebody didn't do this. Oh, wait a minute. I don't think you're going to hear that under Zim.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And close.
Yeah, bro. That's it. That's it for me, bro. And close, and that's it.
Hey,
do your job.
Yep. Great call, Big Cat. Appreciate you, big dog.
All right, yo.
Man, y'all on fire. Y'all on fire today. I'm just running this thing back to see if we got any supers. Nah, we good to go. We good to go. Yes. Oh, okay. Smoke, I missed you earlier on this one. We were talking about Rico.
Super chat.
You dropped 2 and said, Sky, I feel good, bro. That Boston College coach got a good man. So I am definitely interested. Smoke one for you. I got a magnifying glass on this guy because, and this is the Boston College offensive coordinator who is taking over. Is it Will Haggerty, whatever? He was the quarterback's coach. I'm sorry, he wasn't the quarterback's coach. He was like a quality control guy or something like that, but he worked with the quarterbacks. They're replacing him with the Boston College dude, and doesn't sound like he's a quarterback specialist. He had a good run game in college, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know what the hell that means. You know, having a good, it's 500 colleges and probably 400 of them got good run games, right? But I wonder if he'll have the influence if he'll have the juice to influence Schottenheimer first, because that's who he's going to be under, and then that goes up the ladder, up the rung to McCarthy. But I got a magnifying glass there. I want to see if he has some potential. Because, look, man, a guy like McCarthy, the spots ain't changing much, right? Coaches are stubborn in their own right, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But can McCarthy drastically switch up? Because he's going to have to drastically switch up the run game. There's no way. I don't want a piece of anything they did last year with the gap and inside track. That stuff was terrible, you know? But me personally, I'm a zone. We talked about a great question, by the way. I think Foots posed or something like that. We were talking about, hey, what are your favorite? I got to find that thread. Me, Vach, and Foot should talk about that on the video. And I'm a big outside zone guy, pin pull guy. Ran pin pull, it felt like twice every 3 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks. Run that to the ground. If it's working, make them adjust to it. It always felt to me like, hey, man, we just running to hit a number. Will this Boston College guy come in here and say, hey, yeah, that's not what we're doing here. We need to run with a purpose. Appreciate it. Big Max dropped 5. No need. Okay, I won't read it then, Big Max, but shouts out to Mr. Dika as well. God not done with me yet. Who had the stand up not done with me yet? Was that Deion Cole? I'm gonna keep it a bean. Deion Cole's latest stand up on Netflix, I haven't seen one better than that yet. That's come out since. And my goats. Dave Chappelle, love him. Cat, love him. Nobody's has been better than Deion Cole's. Was it Deion who did that? It was Steve? Somebody had one, he's not done with me yet or something like that. Hey, Trey in the building. Wait a minute. Hold up, man. Thought Trey was locked up somewhere. Shouts out to you, Trey. Ain't seen you in a good bit. D shit, what's wrong with that, man? I'm humbled every time, no matter who. I don't care if it's one of my content brethrens or you guys on the phone or in the chat. I do not take this thing for granted. Any day it can be taken away. So we here. Said old school Dion used to have a notepad, but this one was new school. Vach. It was 2019, 2020, maybe 2020, maybe even 2021. But go look it up, man. Dion's latest Netflix stand-up, or I say latest, most recent, phenomenal. Got you, Trey. Yeah, rest in peace, Bernie, man. Was it Steve, though, who had to, he's not done with me yet or whatever the title? I have to look this up now. All right, look. Tomorrow's the 4th of July. If you partake in the festivities, please, like Toxic said, don't come back here looking like JPP. Have fun with it. Be careful. Be responsible. And make sure you come back here on Friday with all your limbs. We'll be back Friday with Pat. Hopefully. All right. I mean, I'll be here, but I don't know if we'll see what's up with Pat. I think he's traveling tomorrow. Either way, man, have a good time. We will celebrate here tomorrow as well. I mean, say celebrate, but look, you know what? 4th of July to me is about celebrating being off. It's about the cookouts. And sooner or later, you're going to see me and Vach linking up on 4th of July. Hey, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens this week. And it'll be fun. I remember my first, I got down here on July 2nd or 3rd, like 3 years ago. Jeff hit me up. Hey, man, having a 4th of July cookout. Want to come? Well, they don't call it a cookout, man. I think they call it a barbecue, a picnic or something. What y'all call it? Y'all call it a barbecue? Yeah. The ultimate holiday. My ultimate white friend, Jeff hit me up, was like, you want to come to the barbecue? I said, yeah, man, hell yeah. And I got over there. He had a blow up pool, bouncy house, water thing. I mean, he did it up, man. Barbecue, all that. I call it a barbecue? Okay. I have never called it a barbecue. Ever. I don't even, when I heard the term barbecue, I'm thinking of a flavor. It's always a cookout. Well, Scott, what about the grill? Then we grilling. That's just how it was where I was from. A cookout, grilling. Barbecue's a flavor. Am I wrong? I'm probably wrong to a lot of y'all people down south. My bad. I don't mean to disrespect that. But Vach, we gonna have a barbecue. I don't know what Vach called it. Barbecue cookout. We gonna have one of them in the next what, 6 months or so. I'm excited for it. What y'all call it? Let me see before we get out of here. We in overtime. What y'all call it? It's a cookout where I've come from. It's a barbecue where a lot of you guys come from. Yeah, the South is different. What do they call it in the South? Depends on the context. Barbecue only applies if you're doing the barbecue. I would hope so, right? By the way, if we're having a cookout, you automatically grilling, right? That just comes with it. Don't invite me to a cookout and it's all hand food that you got from Giant or something like that. Y'all call it grilling. In Florida, what you call it in Florida, Aaron? Shifts. We call it, I come over, I cook. It's a cookout. All right, yeah. We just gonna stick to cookout. Lee said, yeah, well, Lee, we from the same place. Lee, we call it a cookout. That's what I'm saying. My man Lee said, where you from? We call it a cookout. That's what I'm saying. I've never heard the term barbecue from where I come from only for the flavor. Big A call it a barbecue. Where you from, the Guru? Minnesota, they call it a barbecue or grill. Yo, come on over. We grilling, right? That what you say? Hey, my wife gotta get her by time next before. I'm about to press the damn button out of that. I'm pressing it. Ain't no raisins. Ain't none of that. I don't know what she talking about. Seafood broil. Hey, apparently the word is Brian, he be crushing the seafood broil. Come on over, we grilling. We having a cookout. That's what we calling it, y'all. We out here later. Potluck is. Can you imagine somebody saying, "Hey man, you coming over? We having a potluck." The hell? What we working at? The call center? Not a chance.